In the name of God. Greetings, dear student. Thank you for choosing us. I am Heydar Nia, and I intend to teach you financial modeling in Microsoft Excel in this educational series. In the initial chapters, I request that you thoroughly review the basics, which are the frequently used Excel functions in financial modeling. Listen to them several times so that, in terms of the Ebbinghaus forgetting curve, you experience a gentle slope of forgetting and internalize them. My assumption is that you are a semi-professional Excel user. Therefore, I am not here to teach you Excel itself. I will briefly explain the necessary, frequently used functions. On one hand, the importance of and attention to financial issues, and on the other hand, their complexity and the influential parameters involved have led to the emergence of diverse tools in the field of financial management. Financial models help managers find appropriate solutions to problems. Furthermore, a suitable financial model should possess certain characteristics. It should be error-free. It should be compact and flexible. It should be well documented. And it should be usable and editable by any simple user, meaning someone else can use it and someone else can read it. Well, with this introduction, let's move on to the prerequisites for this training. The functions I intend to discuss in this lesson are VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, index, match, indirect, and choose. VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, and index are functions that show us the intersection, cross-reference, of a row and a column within a matrix. For example, if we want to find Apple's capital, say 3,402,000, in this matrix, I can accomplish this using these first three functions. You might ask yourself, is any other condition needed? No, it's not needed, because in this matrix there is only one Apple and one capital value associated with Apple, so no other condition is required. If, for example, we had data for 2 financial years here, and naturally 2 capital values for a single symbol existed, then I would need to combine functions and add conditions, which I will teach you later. So, the primary method for finding the intersection of a row and a column is VLOOKUP. I will copy Apple and its capital here. I type equals VLOOKUP and it asks, what are you looking for? I say, I'm looking for Apple. It asks, which table, array, which matrix? I say, in this matrix. I can select the matrix by placing the cursor on the first cell of the matrix and pressing Ctrl plus Shift plus right arrow key on the keyboard, and then pressing Ctrl plus Shift plus down arrow key on the keyboard. The matrix will be selected. In the next argument, it asks, which column are you looking for? If you recall, VLOOKUP takes the row as a value, lookup value, and the column as a number, column index number. We have set the row, lookup value, to Apple, and the column, column index number, to 5. It then asks, do you want an exact match or an approximate match? I enter exact match. And it displays the capital value of Apple for me. And if I change Apple to Microsoft here, it will display the capital of Microsoft for me. Let's move on to the HLOOKUP function. The HLOOKUP function is the opposite of the previous one. It takes the row as a number, row index number, and the column as a value, lookup value. I type equals HLOOKUP, and it asks, what are you looking for? I say, I am looking for capital. It asks, in which matrix? I select the matrix, Ctrl plus Shift plus right arrow key, Ctrl plus Shift plus down arrow key. Now it asks, which row number do you want? I enter 2 to get Apple's capital, and 1 for an exact match. It shows me Apple's capital. If I change capital here to current ratio, it will show me the current ratio. The next function is index. The index function requires both row and column as numbers. I type equals index. Here, it first asks for the table array. We provide the matrix, which row number, the third, which column number, the fifth column. And since we specify the exact intersection of the row and column, there is no concept of approximate or exact match. And this is a drawback. We don't have a single function that takes both row and column as values and returns the output. I will teach you later how to achieve this by combining functions. The next function is match. Its purpose is to search within a vector or range and tell us the position of a value. It tells us the position of a value in a vector. Pay attention. Until now, we were searching within a matrix. Now, we are searching within a vector. For example, we want to find the position of the number 10.28 in this vector. I copy the number 10.28 here. I type equals match, and it asks, "What are you looking for?" I say, "I am looking for this number." It asks, "In which array?" I say, "In this vector." I place the cursor on the first cell, then Ctrl plus Shift plus right arrow key. The match type is also 0. And it says the position of the number 10.28 in this vector is result, e.g., the fourth position. If I change the array, for example, place it here, the position will change. The next function is indirect. The indirect function is a function that makes an address meaningful in Excel. I will go to another sheet. I will put a few numbers. I take a sum, and the sum of this range becomes 42. What is written here? It says, sum B2 to C7. I write B2 to C7 in this cell. I don't get an answer. Why? Because Excel doesn't understand that this format represents an address. It sees it as mere content. To make Excel understand that this is an address, I must use the indirect function. I type indirect and select this cell, and then take the sum. I type sum indirect this cell. Now it gives me the number 42, meaning Excel understood that this is the name of a range, and I have made this cell meaningful. Now you might ask, what is this useful for? This is for when we want to make our financial model flexible. When we want to build an address, I write a here, B here, 2 here, and 4 here. Let me tell you a point. If I want to construct a 2 from these 2 cells and write my formula, I must use an and. That is, if I write this cell and this cell, it gives me a 2. Now I want to create a flexible formula. I type indirect and this cell and this cell. Now I want to add a colon, so I write and. Since the colon character is a text content, it must be enclosed in double quotation marks. And this cell and this cell. Now if I take the sum, now the model has become flexible. If I put 5 here, the number changes. If I put C here, the number changes. Meaning it is summing from A2 to C5 for me. This means I have created a flexible model. The last function I want to discuss with you is the choose function. The choose function takes a number from us and returns the cell corresponding to that number. We add a row number column here to the matrix. I type choose, I select my cell here and tell it, whatever number or expression I put in this cell, tell me its position among the subsequent arguments. What is its position, comma, and now it tells me select the values. Let me tell you what position your selected cell has among the arguments. I tell it among these values, comma, this, and this. If I put the number 1 here, it says it has the first position. If I put the number 3, it says it has the third position. So what is this useful for? I want it to give me the vector data for that row if I provide a row number here. Well, for this, I select a vector, and while the vector is selected, I type choose. Open parentheses, comma. I select this cell so that if I put the row number in it, it gives me the corresponding data for that row. Comma. Since I have selected the vector for the output data, I must select all the subsequent value arguments as a vector. I select them one by one. Pay attention. At the end of your selections, instead of pressing Enter, you must use the key combination, Control-Shift-Enter. Now, if I put the number 3 here, it brings me the data for row 3. Well, we have reached the end of this session. Review this lesson once more, practice it, and stay with me for the next sessions. I love you. Goodbye.